Welcome, everybody.
Engage.
Let's talk Zillow, Zillow Leads, Zillow Flex, Zillow Premier, Zillow Preferred. It's the thing you love and the thing you hate. Maybe both,
100.
maybe one or the other. Gus, what do you think?
I think Zillow is one of those topics. I'll say this: it generates a lot of engagement on live code agents for better or
Just type
worse.
in Zillow. Zillow.
100%. You sort, it's like on Reddit. You sort by controversial. Boom, all the Zillow threads pop up. So I'm gonna set some ground rules here. I'm gonna set some ground. This is not a Zillow, hate thread, right? We're not here to complain about Zillow. We're not saying how are they good or bad for the industry. I'm not even going to go there, guys. I'm not even going to go. You're in the wrong webinar. If you want to hate on Zillow, we're not going to hate on Zillow here. What I want to talk about is for those agents and those teams that have decided to engage with Zillow and use it to grow their team.
Got it.
What I'm seeing them do that is giving them the best results. And that's it. So all the haters, you're going to have to put away the haterade, put it to the side for this one, for the next 40 minutes or so. Because we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about going for it and what is working at the highest level right now, Tristan. That I'm going to put some guardrails around this conversation because that's really what I want to focus on today.
Good, I like that. I think here I know where you're heading, but I'll add one layer to it.
Go for it.
Zillow Preferred. I think that's where we're at now, name wise, right? Zillow Preferred.
Yeah, Preferred. It's the new Flex is a Preferred.
Zillow Preferred helps a lot on the brokerage and team side for recruiting as well.
Oh,
just so
I want to touch on that. And and Tristan, here's one thing. So one of my clients, I always learn things from my clients, by the way. Like I'm not that smart. My clients are really smart, right? So one thing I learned about Zillow Preferred is one thing you just said. That is an amazing recruiting tool. Pays for itself, right? For that, because it can recruit really good agents if you have Zillow Preferred. Yeah. But I was always, concerned with Zillow Preferred. How do teams make any money, right? Because when you look at the teams that are Zillow Preferred teams, these aren't small teams. These aren't like people that are they're being taken advantage of. No, and I was talking to the director of operations for the Laurie Reader team, top 100 team in America.
Yeah,
and she goes, Gus, she painted it to me this way. He said this way, look, Gus. If you go into Zillow Preferred, trying to make money on the first deal, you're going to fail at that, right? If you want to see massive ROI on that first transaction, yeah, I agree. Those numbers don't look great, right? But if you're looking at the second, third, fourth transaction or referral, it's going to originate from that client. We're going to make money for years from that one lead that we paid for. And they're not cheap. It's 30, 40% of your commission, right? Off the top. That's the more interesting part. Off the top, they're gonna take 34%. And I look at it and I go, my goodness, you can't make money with this. And she goes, you're thinking about it the wrong way. They're looking at it. I mean, Laurie Reader's been around for a while and they're not going anywhere, right? Anytime soon. Over the next decade, this is the lifetime value they expect to make from those leads. And it's massive, Tristan. It's massive, right? And if you look at it that way, yeah, that definitely makes sense, right? And yes, you have to pay referral fees on second generation. I mean, factoring all those things in, right? They're still going to come out on top because they can use those leads for recruiting and they're going to get the second, third, fourth generation and referrals because they run a really good team, right? And they have a system and they have a process.
That's a good point,
to get
man.
A lot of transactions. So then you'll look at it as one. Because if you just look at it as one, it doesn't make any sense. Like, that's crazy, right?
Because it's $500 a lead plus maybe in an area, some other areas.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when you expand that for the lifetime of the lead, it decreases dramatically. Like, yeah, man, that makes a lot of sense. I like the way that she's looking at that, but it makes sense. It's Laurie, so.
Yeah. So, well-run team. And that's what I want to, talk about today. Not what, the run-of-the-mill person thinks of Zillow. We know that. But the teams that are having the highest ROI, that are getting the best results, how are they looking at this problem? And what strategies are they implementing, right? So, Jan, can you throw up that slide deck? Let's jump into it. We're here. If you're on this webinar, this is, like I said, this is not the Zillow hate webinar. That's the other webinar right after this, right? That's the Zillow. That's the Zillow hate fest. That was a part. Oh, right before. There we go. That was last week. Perfect. It totally makes sense. This is the other webinar, right? So I'm going to jump into it. This is what I want to talk about, the opportunity, okay? This is the opportunity. Typical Zillow Premier conversion rate, the closing, Tristan. How many you should close? Zillow has a target. They use this for all their calculations, 4% on Zillow Premier. Okay. That's like I don't know if that's an average. That's the recommended ROI calculator. Okay. Awesome. I'm going to assume that's an average, close to an average. And this is what I've heard: 3 to 5% is what I hear typically for Zillow Premier. Okay. The top teams, 10 to 20% to closing. 10 to 20% of their Zillow Premier leads, connections, make it to closing, right?
10 to 20. Yeah, that makes sense. I've got a few friends on Zillow.
In that range, 10, 12, 16, like in that range, right? The best teams. Zillow Preferred, formerly known as Zillow Flex. The target is more than double that, right? Target is 10%. 10% conversion to close. What are the top teams doing? The top teams are more than double that, okay? I have one of my clients doing 26% connection to close on Zillow Preferred within like a rolling 12-month window. Okay, like they're putting borders around it, like 12 months.
Well, think about this. So I want to put this into perspective too for people that are wondering that's impossible. Here's what it looks like for Preferred. These are people that are going to Zillow. They're checking off a little box and saying, yeah, I'd like to talk to somebody. They're getting them on the phone, and then they're transferring them live on the phone after they've been somewhat pre-approved, pre-qualified verbally, and saying, yeah, I've got somebody for you. If they pick up the phone, the agent, then those right there are the 26% that he's talking about on the extreme end.
100%. Yeah, this is not from names and emails. You got an email for a lead. That would be a different conversion. You're absolutely right, Tristan. And I want to make this really clear. This is based off connections, right? This is not the run-of-your-mill lead. Let's be really clear about that. And I think Zillow is kind of unique in that sense. And you're right. It's contextual, right? Because, if we're looking at, this is why these numbers are so different than like Facebook or Google PPC, because why do people go on Zillow? Even though Zillow is kind of the national pastime, I agree with that too. I think it's changed over the years. I think everyone looks at homes all the time. Yeah. But if you're hitting that request, talk to an agent button, there's a high level of intent there, and people have speculated about this. Tristan, I've been doing lead conversion for a long time, for over a decade now with Power ISA, and 10 years ago, these portal leads, I call these kind of portal leads, Realtor.com, Zillow, they're kind of in that category of portal lead. The portal lead was the highest converting inbound lead back then, and it is the highest converting inbound lead right now. Okay. The difference from 10 years ago to now is I think now they're adequately priced. Like that, it is a high converting lead. Yeah. That's the difference. If if you know, right? I think they're more adequately priced now than they were a decade ago. Because even a decade ago, they were the highest converting type of lead because the intent is there. You go to Realtor.com because you're looking at properties, because a good chunk of those people are going to transact. A disproportionate amount are going to transact over the next 12 months. And that's something we all know. I get that. I don't think it's breaking news to anyone that this is true. But the difference between the target and what top teams are doing, that's what I want to drill into today. Yep. Okay. What does that even mean? Right? Gus, I've done Zillow, or I'm doing Zillow. We're nowhere near that number. Like that's crazy, right? I would love to get to the target. I'm not even at the target percentage. Maybe that's why you're here today, or someone from your team is here today, right? Well, then this is for you, because this is probably what's happening. And this is what ChatGPT came up with, Tristan, with a leaky Zillow funnel. This is a AI enhanced leaky funnel image.
I like that.
That's not bad. Actually, I was low key impressed. The image gen on ChatGPT is I am still a ChatGPT user for all the Claude people. I use Claude too. I'm just so used to chat, man. I like it. And the image generation has gotten way better.
ChatGPT just upgraded to 5.6, and it's really, really good. So
the image generation from like 3 months ago is like, I don't know what they did. This is way better. This would take 3 to 4 iterations to get it this good. This was on first try. This is not bad. Anyway, so the AI webinar is next week too, right? This is the AI image webinar. So, but this is, you have a leak in your funnel, and it is as simple as that. Simple, not easy, but it is simple as that. The top teams, Tristan, have the leakage is smaller. That's it, right? And it's not at the appointment. It's in every step of the funnel. They're just a little bit tighter. But something that I see the top teams do, Tristan, that I think is really smart, is they understand what happens if they increase that connection rate a little bit more, right? Like they know that that has an exponential effect at the end of their funnel. If they can talk to a few more leads at the early stage, okay? What happens if you increase that appointment show rate a little bit more, right? Appointment show. What if that goes up a few percentage points? Everything else gets bigger. Everything else gets bigger. Yeah. That's why a 5%, 10% increase on connection rate, on appointment set rate. I'm going to talk about all these, by the way. I'm going to break each one of these down. On appointment show rate, a couple percentage points, if you add that up, every single one of those conversion rates, that's why you get 2x, 3x, 4x at the end, right? Because each one of those conversion rates is higher and higher and higher and higher. And some of these, from a typical number to what we call Zillow. I'll show a table of this at the end. But what they call the Zillow Best. Zillow Best is double what an average Zillow client looks like. Zillow measures this. Tristan, they keep, especially on Flex, holy cow, they keep track of those numbers very close. And the people that know what I'm talking about. They're hardcore about tracking these numbers. The Zillow Best is double what the average is, okay? It's twice as high when you're doing it at the highest level. And they track it and they can prove it, right? The Zillow Best is double what the average person is, right? And today we're going to be talking about the best. What are the best teams doing to tighten up that leaky funnel? Let's jump into it.
Let's go.
I'm going to talk about, we're going into the plumbing analogy. I'm going all in, Tristan, on this plumbing analogy, man. The leaks. You have a leaky funnel, okay? What's leak number one? Leak number one. I'm going to go through all 7. Don't worry about this. Strap in, people. Strap in. 1. Let's jump into it, right? And everyone knows about speed to lead, but I'm going to tell you something different. Speed to lead is a systems and staffing issue. Tristan, it is rarely a technology issue. We're talking about speed to lead. It is rarely a technology issue, right? It is a systems and a staffing issue primarily, okay? And this is one scenario where, as I look at the top teams doing this, I'm not seeing AI creep into this scenario yet. This is one where I could see AI making a difference like in the next year or two. Like you can see AI really take hold of this. But right now, the top teams are solving this by staffing up for this problem and having systems and process to deal with this problem. Tristan, what do you think a best in class, because we measure this really closely, best in class speed to lead looks like in 2026? And it just, spoiler alert, it is nowhere near like 30 seconds. That's just not real, right? At scale, top teams, what do you think, just off the top of your head, what a realistic speed to lead looks like, realistically, speed to lead?
I would say 5 minutes.
Typically we're seeing the top teams 15 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
15 to 30 minutes.
And that's with, and when we're talking about speed to lead that works, so just laying the context out, because there's also speed to lead, and people, the very first thing they're going to be thinking of is AI, right? And AI voice
or texting, or 100%.
Right. We're talking human in the middle, which allows for what I believe a much higher quality conversation. Because if we're looking at Zillow for the example, Zillow's not having an AI voice bot calling its Zillow inquiries. It's an actual real person. So with that, I thought it was around 5 minutes, but 15 actually makes sense. 15, 30 minutes.
And this is with people, and this is with teams that have staff and they have systems and they have process. Tristan, for most real estate agents, if their speed to lead was within the first, let's same business day, it would transform their business. It would it would change probably change their life, right? If their speed to lead was calling back all their leads with the same day, with the same business day, would be like transformative. The top teams in the country, 15 to 30 minutes. I don't know if many will admit to that, but that's what I see on my end, and I help them implement this, right? 15, 30 minutes is best in class, and it's not bad for actual conversation phone call. The text messages that go out almost immediately, maybe that is maybe 30 seconds or even less. But actual connection is probably 15 to 30 minutes. That's awesome. It takes a lot of effort to do that consistently and on average, right? So this is what Zillow recommends, okay? And this is whether you're doing Premier or Flex. They actually don't distinguish between that. They go, this is how like a high-performing team should organize itself and should operate. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the sales side here because they talk about the whole operations, fulfillment, and sales. I'm going to zoom in on the sales side. They assume that you have a team of agents and one or many ISAs. It's kind of like a given, right? That's necessary to implement this, because otherwise it becomes really, really challenging to get those kinds of numbers, to get the high level connection numbers. And that's why you can see some teams have half the connection rate that other teams have. Typical connection rate on an incoming Zillow lead is about 30%, typical. For the top teams, Zillow Best numbers, 60% connection rate, right? And that's implementing ISAs and agents in conjunction. What do I mean by that? I mean something called like calling pools. Okay, you don't really want an inbound Zillow lead off the app coming into a single agent. Like that is, no one does that, because that's very error prone, right? Even if it's an inbound, they might be at an appointment. Tristan, they might be talking to another Zillow lead in person. Right, true. They might be talking to somebody in that moment. It's hard to predict. So typically what we're going to see is Zillow recommends the first crack at this go for agents, okay? A licensed agent should get the first opportunity to connect with that lead. That's what they recommend. That's what they want. And that's what most teams implement, especially for Preferred, for Flex. Agents get the first shot. And within somewhere between 30 to 60 minutes later, if they haven't made a connection yet, ISAs are going to step in and they're going to take over from there within 30 to 60 minutes, right? And this just depends on how many agents you have in that pool. If you have a dozen agents in your Zillow Preferred and your Zillow Premier pool, then you can be a little bit more flexible with that. Oh, Tristan, can you hear me?
I can, man. I'm looking at the speed to lead process on my computer over here.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's kind of freezing up on my end. If you can still hear me and see me, that's great.
Yeah,
and then okay. Great. And so that's really what we want to see. ISAs can handle everything else. You want that agent pool, whether that's 5 agents or 10 agents or a dozen agents, to have that first crack. And if none of them are able to respond, it happens within 15, 30 minutes or whatever the target you have is, then the ISAs come in. And that is how you can do it. So those calling pools, Tristan, I mean, it's easier said than done having a Zillow calling pool. It means there's a schedule. Like people are on call during these time frames, right? You've got somebody on call over the weekend, in the afternoon, in the evening, right? You have accountability around these calling pools. Hey, Tristan, it's been a couple weeks and you've got a 0% connection rate on Zillow leads. Like, are you even, you're on the pool? Did you know you were on call to connect? Like no. Everyone else is picking up the slack. You're not even trying. So maybe you need to get out of that Zillow pool and get somebody else in there, right? Like that is what I mean by accountability. Like, are you holding agents accountable to respond to these leads? What's your reward, right? If I am gunning it, getting these calls, okay, then what is my reward for doing that? You get to stay on the calling pool, on the Zillow calling pool, right? Mm-hmm. And Tristan, this opens up a whole can of worms, right? Because the more, this is what typically happens. The more experienced agents, they want to be on the calling pool. They're usually busier than the brand spanking new agent that has plenty of time to pick up the phone within 2 seconds and connect with that inbound Zillow lead. So you have to have, some structure around that. You have to have schedules. You have to have people on call. You have to have quotas. You got to spread it around. Otherwise, the least busiest agent that has 0 deals and 0 experience is going to get all of these leads. So you should implement. Yeah, you should be intentional about that and kind of think about how you want to split this among your team, because it is very valuable to be in that calling pool, right? It is. You're gonna connect with a lot of people. You're gonna close a lot of deals with this lead. Okay, cool. Let's jump into it. Leaky funnel number 2. And this is basically another way to say scripting, but week first conversation. And this is where I want to make a distinction, Tristan, because like I said, portal leads are different than everything else, right?
I agree with you.
Like or like interruption-based marketing, right? So, I mean, our mutual friend, Barry Jenkins, he wrote the book on like converting like top of funnel leads, middle of funnel leads, like low intent leads. It's a very different conversation when you're talking to a Facebook, Google PPC, someone you advertise like a home list to, maybe like a lead magnet, a PDF. If you're talking to someone in that stage, in that dreamer stage, in that early stage, I think the conversation is very different versus if you're talking to someone that's coming from a portal lead that is asking about a specific property. Okay? Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
100%.
If you're talking about a specific property, you should talk to them about looking at that property, right? And that's something that Zillow figured out very early on. And agents and ISAs need to master something that Zillow calls the ALM framework. ALM framework, okay? Appointment, location, motivation. Appointment, location, motivation. So this is the opposite of what Barry says for Facebook leads. This is the complete opposite, right? It is literally backwards going forwards. The first thing you should talk to a Zillow lead about is, hey, when do you want to go see that property? I saw you, Tristan, I got a message from Zillow. You inquired about 123 Main Street. When do you want to go see it? Are you available today, this afternoon, or tomorrow? What works better for you, right? Zillow said, cut the crap. Don't talk about, how long you've been looking. I'm like, they know what you were trying to do. They didn't contact you to have a buyer consult. They contacted you to go see a property, right? So get them an appointment to go see the property. That's what they want, right? Okay, that's great. Awesome. Then once you've nailed that down on the date and time and location, ask them about, hey, Tristan, have you seen anything else out there that caught your eye? Would you be open to looking at other properties in that area, right? That might fit your criteria. Are you looking in Woodridge Hills, or are you open to, Ventura as well, right? You want, Simi Valley, or maybe somewhere at Thousand Oaks as well. I got some great properties in Thousand Oaks you might like that that are just like this property. Would you like me to send those as well? We can make a little tour out of it, right? And I'm making this up because probably from Simi Valley to Thousand Oaks, like 3 hours of traffic. I don't know. I'm just
no, it's pretty close.
Okay, pretty close. Okay, good. I didn't kill that analogy. So that's what you want. You want to make sure that you're talking about that location because that's going to get you to motivation, right? That's where you want the conversation to go. You want to know, why are they buying, right? Like, what is moving them to go look at a property? Do they currently own a property? Like, where are they at? And you got to kind of earn that right to talk about motivation. Whereas with Facebook leads, it's kind of the opposite, right? Like they might be so far out, so early in the process. Really, the only thing you can talk about is motivation. Right? You're not really talking about like which property they want to go see it. They're not that far. It's not relevant to a lot of these top of funnel leads.
I think
bottom of funnel.
We're never taught to just give people the answers they want. We always seem to make it harder for people to get to where they want with us. Just give them everything they want.
They didn't hit that button to have a buyer consult, right? They didn't.
They didn't hit the button for it to get harder when they got
for it to get harder. Make it easy.
Yeah,
make it easy. Or here's another example of that, right? When people click that button for a home evaluation, right? They didn't click the button to get a listing presentation. That's not what the button said. Like you should become the Amazon.com of CMAs if that's what they want, right? You're the Amazon.com. How seamless is Amazon? Pretty seamless, man. Not bad. Like, like that, they do a pretty good job.
They don't ask you all these questions in between. Like, wait a second. Why do you need that? Why do you need that notebook, Gus? What are you going to be using it for? Have you ever used a notebook before? It's like, what? What I want that? It doesn't make sense. Taylor, this is recorded. You'll get a copy of this. It's already playing live into our YouTube channel for Lab Coat Agents. So you can watch it there. Valencia, what's up, Valencia? She said there's a safety factor with warm leads. You don't have that with these calls. Can you talk on that? By the way.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Oh, yeah. So I want to preface this by saying, absolutely, every inbound inquiry, like this is 2026, right? We all know the horror stories. That's why we've got some great tools like, Forewarn and a lot of these other tools that can help us, be smart about this. And we should absolutely use those. And if you're ever, if you don't feel safe with an internet lead, you shouldn't meet with them. Like period, end of story. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, Tristan, but like what you should do before you meet up with somebody that you find off the internet. I'm going to talk more about that in the next steps, but that is absolutely a true concern. That's a real concern, and people should be aware of it. 100%. Yes, absolutely. And but going back to this, ALM framework, this doesn't just happen, right? Like, agents are not used to just going straight to the appointment and then walking it backwards, building rapport, building that connection. This is something you can train for, you can practice it, and you have to inspect what you expect. What do I mean by that? The team leader or the sales manager or I don't know who it is, the mentor should be listening to those Zillow connection calls once a week.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's it. It's not sexy. It's not a awesome activity. I know it, right? This is what I do with my team every single week. But this is what you need. Are they following ALM? Are they following ALM? And this is something, Tristan, you just never stop doing. I wish you do it for a few months and you're good to go. Tristan, that's just not real, man. No. This is an ongoing fight to make sure that your ISAs and agents are following the script, making their best effort. And they're always, when Zillow is calling, money is not calling. Like, money is on the line.
I have a question for you on that,
Go for it, man.
When it comes to listening, like, to these conversations, do you have any technology in place that allows you to maybe shorten that for you, or not yet? Or what are you using?
Absolutely. And we were using a tool called Auto QA, but Tristan, we ended up just rolling our own, man. We've made our own AI enabled. This is based off Claude. We have our own call analyzer for this exact reason, because in the time it takes to listen to a call and have a conversation with an agent, we can analyze the week's calls now, every single call in the week, and look at trends, not just look at one call. We can look at trends for the week. And if there's one we really should listen to, we can figure out which one that is, like, which is the most important call to listen to, which is the one we want to emphasize. And you can teach these tools. And there's a lot of them, Tristan. We made our own within Power ISA, but there's a lot of really good ones out there, call analyzers. I think, Follow Boss is a built-in one, like Lopo's got one, Maverick. There's a lot of really good ones out there that can help you coach your agents on their calls. And you should be making like a rubric, like a criteria for each kind of your lead sources. We have one for expired, for sell by owner, Circle. Zillow has one, like Portal Leads have one in general, like Facebook, Google. And you should be looking for specific criteria in some of these calls. And for Zillow, for ALM, you should make sure that they're gunning for the appointment right then and there in the way that they're trained to, right? That's a key one. And AI is a huge difference maker here. We are 10 times more productive thanks to AI on call analysis than we were pre-AI. It's crazy what we can do now with the yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. Yeah, absolutely. We use it, and you guys should use it as well to analyze calls at scale. And now we have the ability to analyze everything. Now it's a little bit more of like, hey, what picking and choosing what makes sense. But the time, we have 10 times more bandwidth than we used to have to analyze calls. I love it.
That's so true. I agree.
Cool. This one. Okay. This is leak number. This is so important. It's kind of part of the second leak. It's so important. It goes into its own leak. Not asking for the appointment. Like, Tristan, this is the bane of my existence. When I see agents, ISAs, not even trying to do this, you got a coffee is for closers. That is what we call closing. You should never assume that you're going to make a long-term nurture out of an inbound Zillow inquiry. I mean, you should shoot to kill on that one, right between the eyes. Start with the appointment, and you're always trying to make sure they're trying to close for that. And if they ask once, twice, they should ask up to 3 times that they're trying to meet with them at the property, because that's where the hottest ones, that's what they want. The ones that are the biggest opportunity, that's what you should go for. So that's leak number 3. I'm going to jump real quick. Number 4, poor follow-up process. And Tristan, this is kind of my thing. I think a lot of team leaders expect their agents to just do too much, right? Like, agents normal. are not great. That's typical. We want them to do it. We want them to be the master negotiator, the customer service expert, the therapist, the lead generator, the marketer. And, this is hard, right? The closer, the excellent at closing people, and to be the telemarketer, right? And that's just really, really hard to do. You might find a unicorn. I mean, Tristan, you've run teams for years now, right? Like, having an agent that has it all I think is a losing proposition. And even if you find one, assuming they're going to stay on your team for forever, is also not a great, assumption to make, right? So a lot of team leaders get frustrated over this, they get upset about it. Some team leaders lean into it. Agents are not great at follow-up. In my humble opinion, ISAs are part of the solution, right? You should be calling inbound Zillow leads that haven't picked up every day for the next 10 days, right? You should be call, text, email every day for the next 10 days, right? You should be helping them plug those leaks in your funnel, right? And like you said, Tristan, increase the value proposition of your team. So you said Zillow Preferred can be a huge value prop for the team. How about inbound leads that are qualified and handed off to you by an ISA? How does that sound as a value proposition for your team?
Well, that's how we use it, man. We have we have our ISA that we got from you, who goes through our database and just gives us the hand raisers, and they decide which agent it goes to. At this point, they know our agents. So based on the area they cover or the type of home it is, like luxury, not luxury, or what.
Absolutely. And that is, one of my clients, they use this as a recruiting pitch. We don't hand off leads. We hand off qualified opportunities. And we do that because we have an ISA team, right? Like, we don't hand off leads. Our agents they don't have permission to touch our leads, right? Like, we know what they're going to do. Like, it's not what we need. We hand off qualified opportunities. And that's thanks to ISAs, because converting internet leads is hard and getting harder. It's not getting easier from 10 years ago. It's getting harder than it was 10 years ago. Every single team that I know that converts internet leads at a highest level has someone in this role. They have somebody, whether it's in-house, virtual, it doesn't matter. Like, they've got someone doing this role because it's just so important to do that. And I think it comes down to, we just expect our agents to do too much. You either fight with them over that, or you accept it for what it is and get agents that are great at talking to people, not that are great at telemarketing. That's what I think, right? Cool.
Agreed.
Here's a big one. Tristan, with all this work, the best in class show up rate for Zillow appointments is like 15%, 20%, right? Like, that is, sorry, I don't want to say that. That's not best in class. That is the typical show up rate. 15, 20, maybe 25% show up rate for these appointments, right? Like, in my humble opinion,
show up to the appointment.
Show up to at the property.
That's crazy, man.
That's typical, right? That's an average show up rate for. Yeah, that's typical, and that is higher than Facebook, and that's not higher than some of these other ones. But that's not great, man. That's not great at all, right? So what do you want to do? My opinion, it is the result of a weak connection, right? If they're not showing up to that appointment, man. The reality, Tristan, is you're not the only agent they talked to that day. Let's just call a spade, right? You're not the only agent they talked about that property. You're not the only agent they've been in contact with throughout the last month, throughout the last year. It is a fierce competition to get the attention of these leads, right? It's not easy. You have to try to strengthen that link. You don't want a weak link. A weak link is a very high show up rate. What I call probably below 30%. For any lead source, I think that's low, below 30%, below 25%. That's very low.
Imagine I'd waste my whole day.
But best in class is 50% or more, probably 60% is, and you can get even higher. That's what you can. But like at scale, 50, 60% is really, really good. And that's what I see the best teams do. 50, 60% show up rate for these appointments. How do they do that? They drop little breadcrumbs to try and strengthen the connection. They drop a personalized video text. That is crazy. I know. And this is technology from a decade ago. I know. This is not like I said, this is not a technology problem. This is typically a process and training problem. Your agents have to be dropping those personalized video texts. Why? Because no one does that. That's why. Not because it's super impressive. No one else is doing that. Personalized, right? And this is coming from the agent. When they first get assigned that lead, if they don't connect within the first 15, 30 minutes, they're sending out that text. Hey, this is Gus. I got your message from Zillow. I know you want to see 123 Main Street. I'm just trying to reach out to you if you want to go see it today or sometime tomorrow. Just want to make sure that's a great property. And I got a couple more I would love to talk to you about, but I got to make sure if they're even a good fit for you. Let's get in touch, right? That's a personalized initial text message. And, Tristan, maybe in a few months, AI can do that. I mean, probably, maybe it can even do it now programmatically. Who knows, right? But for now, it's worth the effort to make that personal connection.
They can. Quick questions. Craig, I'll answer this one, and then you can answer Megan's, Gus. But Craig says second generation referrals. What's that? Second generation referrals typically. Well, Gus, maybe I don't know. What is that?
It's it's when you get a lead from Zillow and they do and again, don't quote me on this because I don't have the latest information, but when they do a second transaction with you, the same lead does a second transaction with you.
Yeah,
that's a second generation referral.
Or they give you business because they're already in your world.
Yeah, 100%. And to be super honest with you guys, I don't know if that lead gives you a referral of somebody else in their family or their sphere. I'm not sure if that counts as a second generation referral. Maybe someone that's on Zillow Preferred can give us the latest on that. But I know for a fact if they do a second transaction, Tristan, that's a second generation referral, and you owe a commission on that. I don't know what the exact number is.
Second generation. Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's what it means, Craig. I just remembered because we were on there. Yeah, if that client over a certain amount of time does business with you again, there is a referral fee, and I think it scales down from what I remember, but I don't know.
I think so
anymore. And then Craig, you bring up a good point that I wanted to ask Gus. Gus, what do you think, man? This is just speculation, but and we're with Zillow, so I'm just asking what you think. No haterade, okay?
Put it away. Put it away.
Put it away. Do you think because Zillow is trying to expand and trying to continue to be profitable, do you think at some point they're going to look at all of the referrals that they're sending you business, and you're giving a certain amount of referral back to them cost-wise, price-wise? Do you think they look at it and be like, hey, as long as you're working with us and everything we've sent you and you're still working with us, you're going to have to give us a referral fee on everybody we've sent you as long as you're working with us on a scaled version down. And this way they're just always making money off of these. So that happens?
That's a really good question. That is teetering. The answer to that is teetering closely to the haterade conversation. But I will say this. I've listened. So, I've studied Zillow a lot. I mean, that's
Tristan, why I was asking.
I will send the investor call transcripts to Claude and I'll look at them, what they talk about. Because I want to know what they're thinking about these things. And it's a stated goal of Zillow to transition eventually all of their markets to Zillow Flex. That's a stated goal. I'm not making anything up. This is what they're saying on their public investor calls. So they are pushing profitability to the limit every single way they can. And I don't think they would say that they don't, right? Maybe they would word it that differently. They would probably word it differently, but they're pushing profitability across every single piece because there's a limit to how many premier leads you can sell and how many will convert and how expensive you can make those, right? There's a limit to that. And we've seen it. Zillow Flex is that new incarnation. Are they going to expand I'm not sure, Tristan, but they are pushing the envelope further than I thought it could be pushed on Zillow Flex, just on Zillow Flex.
I honestly, they can keep pushing it more because remember they have follow-up bots.
I know agents that have told me, Gus, don't quote me, this is an anonymous comment. I would pay more than 40%. I'd pay more. Like in my market, I would pay more.
Especially if you're looking at it as Lori Reader is looking at it, right?
Absolutely.
You look at it really long term, and then if you do a really good job, they're going to be sending you referrals from other friends and family. Who cares that they're still charging you an incremental, smaller amount through the if they go that route, right? I'm just saying. Anyway, side note.
Yeah.
Megan's got a question for you. How do you manage time off for your ISAs?
Oh, great one. So ISAs are different than agents because they're on a schedule. They're an hourly rate employee, right? So, you manage them to make sure that they have a schedule, and that's typically Monday through Friday. And if you want longer coverage than Monday through Friday, let's say like 8 to 4 or 10 to 6, then you have more than one, right? To make sure that people have, time, right? So the ISA is different than an agent because you're scheduling them in. And when you schedule them in, like my people get, my staff, Tristan, gets 2 weeks off a year. Like that's just, and how can we possibly do that? We staff and we schedule for it. I mean, there's no magic, solution to that, right? You make sure they have, most ISAs demand 2 days off per week, every week, right? 2 days off. That's typical for I will say this, the good ones, Tristan, the really good ones want 2 days off per week. And so you schedule that in. right? And within a year, they're going to want something like paid time off. That's great. They don't get that the first year, by the way, just so you know. They don't get paid time off the first year. Second year, we're gonna have that conversation because that's you're growing the team, you're helping out. We can have that conversation. But before that, it doesn't even matter the first year. Other than their typical 2 days off, every week. So it's typically weekend is going to be off, right? Or if they're working the weekends, then during the week they're going to have some time off. So you schedule for that, right? You schedule it and you staff for that. That's the answer. Okay, 2 more leaks and we're done. 2 more and we're done. No, this is a fast one. Leak number 6, you don't have a lender process. And there's ongoing litigation about this for Zillow, by the way. There's controversy about like Zillow loans. And so I'm not going to get into that because, I'm not a lawyer.
Well, they just threw an EXP under that same lawsuit in Washington. So.
Yeah, it's massive, right? So, but I will say this, right? I'm going to try and say this in a, legally neutral way. If you have a great lender partner, and I don't care if it's Zillow loans or somebody else, I'm going to be, neutral here. If you have a great lender partner that's not afraid to pick up the phone, that's how you can get a really high conversion rate on these leads, Tristan, because they're getting great advice from a great lender and the lender's following up with them too, not just you, okay? And you and the lender are doing tandem. You're in communication, right? So having a lender be part of this process is a big reason why these teams have such a high conversion rate to close because they see it as an ecosystem. You should have a lender. I don't want to knock any lenders out there. But I remember, as an agent, active agent, there was a night and day difference between a lender that could do lead gen and could do follow-up with me, like tandem, versus one that only wanted to work with my referral and recommendations sphere leads.
I hate those lenders. They
only want that. Again, if you feel triggered, then I'm talking about you. That's Mr. Lender listening to this. Like,
or if you feel triggered as an agent and you're working with a lender like that, listen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, a lot of that business is built on personal relationships. It should be built on your ability to pick up the phone and help me close some of these leads too. Even if internet is only 20% of your business, 30% of your business, like I don't care. They should be helping you convert that 20%, 30%. Because if they pick up the phone, that could be 50% of your business because your business has got bigger. If your lender or their ISA, because we have, Tristan, the number one reason lenders hire us is to help service their top agents. Like that's it. They don't, very rarely the lenders generate leads. They hire ISAs to call their agents leads. Like that is the 99% reason lenders hire us is to call agent leads, right? For them. Because that's a big value prop. And, lenders, you should do more of that, FYI. Anyways, last one, no long-term nurture. And Tristan, you're the master at this. I look at long-term nurture as getting leads into your audience. You have to have a process. So Tristan, when a lead comes into my system, right, an agent, right, I want them to get into my Facebook group. I want them to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. I want to get them on my newsletter. I want to get them into my ecosystem because I want the content to do the nurturing for me, in addition to my ISAs calling them as well, right?
That's very true.
And I want them to use content to check in with them. Don't be the checking in guy. Be the, hey, Tristan, I found these couple great properties you might like. Would you like to check them out? Hey, Tristan, I just released this new video on Woodridge Hills, right? And I know you're looking in that area. Why don't you check it out, right? Yeah. Or let's say you don't have content. Well, then find a blog post, hopefully from someone you know or yours. Hey, here's a great piece of content you should check out, right? And by the way, how are things going? You earn the right to check in with them at that point, right? So social media, give you a follow on social media. You can follow them, get them in your newsletter, get them into your Facebook group, get them into your ecosystem, whatever that happens to be. And if you don't have one, get one, right? Tristan, there's this really cool group called Brilliant Tribe that goes deep into this because I believe, Tristan, in 2026, long-term nurture is content. Dude, it's not the text automation. It's just not that. It's just not that. It is content. Tristan, what do you say about audience long-term nurture?
I think I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example based on what just happened to us last week, and this is from a Google PPC lead we got 3 years ago. Okay.
Damn.
So 3 years ago, Google PPC, the guy was quiet. He would just open his emails, never returned calls or emails, never, and we do it often. And then all of a sudden, He looked at a property, favorited it, and called me, left me. I didn't even pick it up because I was on a webinar. Left me a message, and because I saw the message literally while I was on a webinar, I forwarded it to Mark Rader. I'm like, dude, get on this, right? I can't even listen to it. I don't know who the hell it is. Send it over. Picks up the phone, has a conversation with Mark. It recorded, so I could tell you what the whole conversation was. He said, hey, you guys have been sending us property for 3 years, and you guys are everywhere.
Love
and
that.
we see that you guys have listings in Malibu, and Gus, we only have one listing in Malibu. So you have listings everywhere in Malibu. We have a house in Hollywood Hills we need to sell. But first, we'd like to see what's out there in Malibu. Our price point's $9 million. Can we go see homes? Saturday, we show him homes. Shows up. We make it as easy as possible for him to show up, right?
Yeah.
Does. We lock him in. All because, and I didn't even show up on Saturday. It was Mark.
Love it.
And he was like, where's Tristan? Because I mean, I know he like owns this area because we see him on YouTube. We see him online. I'm like, dude, we don't have a big share of business in Malibu like we used to. So the fact that we're doing all the right things to go on this is extremely
100%. 100%. And just nothing makes my day than when someone makes that comment. Oh, Gus, I see you guys everywhere. Like, I see you guys everywhere. Because, that's the algorithm working in my favor for once, right? Like helping me out. Because if you engage with some of my content, I don't care what social, we're in the era of the interest graph, right? Like, I don't, and you know what? A lot of heavy lifting for me recently has been shorts, like short form. Like that is, for whatever reason, that's my number one, like view getter, like my number one attention grabbing piece of content. And from there, it's like a funnel, right? People are going to engage with my longer form stuff. You're going to find me. And once you engage with one thing, you're going to see a lot of it, right? And that's why I love that comment. Oh, I see you guys everywhere. Yeah, because you engage with my stuff, right? You're the person I'm speaking to. And oh, I see you everywhere. I think it's time for us to work together. And I go, absolutely, Mr. Lead. It is absolutely time for us to work together. And that's really the power of content. So anyways, that's what I got, guys. Like I said, best in class, 60% connection rate, 60% appointment set rate, about 50% of connections can show up. I think that's low. The teams that I'm looking at can do 50% plus up to 60% show rate for these leads. I think you can do even better than that. And that's what I got, guys. If you would like a copy of this slide deck, let me know, and I'll send it to you, info@powerisa.com.
I like this, man. Everyone, email info@powerisa.com. Get this. You know what I was thinking, Gus, separately while you were doing this? I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. From these sessions that you do, because you always provide great slides and good content, great content, I think we can make a blog on this, dude, and just have the right AEO structure.
Jasmine's always asking me about the blog. You're 100% right. I should use these decks to make a monthly blog. Absolutely. That is such a good idea.
Well, because now, I don't know if you've tested out just over the last week, ChatGPT 5.6, but here's what I'm going to do. So send me the deck.
Yep.
And then what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to grab the transcript from this session. I'm going to put in the deck into ChatGPT 5.6.
I love it.
And then I'm going to say, make me a blog with great SEO and great AEO, right? Incorporating this so we can post it into the Lab Code Agents blog. Because then
I love it.
Like a lot of valuable information on this, man.
Yeah, this is a good one. Hopefully I made this value packed. I've been working on this one for a while, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if you need an ISA, guys, this is who I use. I use Gus. I've used him for 8 years now. And his team's amazing. I love how he trains them, and I love the people there. So, and he's a really nice guy, like really, really nice guy. So you get what you see. There's a link, 50% off setup fee. Scan the QR code. And Gus, I'll let you know when we make the blog, because I think I might use this as an example of what else we should be doing.
I love it, man. I'm 100% for it. I'll send it over to you. Thanks so much.
Send it over. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day.